This is Mike W. with World War II with Mike W., the history of the 95 Years' War. Just a quick reminder, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and also click on the notification bell. And please comment. This all helps me and the channel. In this video, I will be talking about the time period between 1930 and 1933 in the United States and Great Britain. The Great Depression has gotten started and is getting into full swing. The economic downturn has affected each country a little differently, and how each country deals with it is also different. In the United States, this guy, President Hoover, took the stance that free markets will work themselves out and that those in need will be taken care of by charity organizations. This laissez-faire attitude towards the economy is just how things were done in the United States before the Great Depression. Government was hands-off, except during wartime, when certain industries were required to produce for the war effort. The economic situation was new to the U.S. and to the world in its extreme nature. During the 1930s, things get worse for the U.S. If you remember from my video about the stock market crash, things started to go really bad quickly. In 1929, the economy contracts by 8.3%. Simply put, that means the amount of economic activity in the country slows down by that much. Less buying and selling of goods and services, unemployment goes up to 9%, and 1,350 banks fail. All the money in those banks evaporates from the economy. Inflation is at a negative 6.4%. That is known as deflation. Yes, prices go down, but so do profits and the ability to pay workers. On June 13, 1930, to protect industries and farmers from foreign competition, the U.S. Congress passes the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. This puts taxes on imported goods and services from abroad. Other countries naturally retaliate by putting tariffs on U.S. goods. This actually has the reverse effect because demand was already dropping, not increasing. Also, it hurt the farmers a lot worse as agricultural products were highly taxed, so demand for U.S. goods dropped significantly. Exports dropped from over $5 billion in 1930 to $1.7 billion in 1933. This tariff act definitely made things worse. It must be understood the economy was tanking, so this exacerbated the problem. Tariffs do have their place to protect the country's industries when times are good. Bank failures are also a major aspect of 1930. As I said, 1,350 banks failed. One of them was the fourth largest bank in the country, $160 million gone. Too big to fail anyone? All of the bank failures caused more people to get their money out of the bank, which causes more bank failures. The news gets out and fear begins to be the predominant emotion throughout the country. During 1931, things get even worse. Unemployment rises to 16%, and there is no unemployment insurance back then. Another 2,300 banks failed. $1.7 billion gone. The economy shrinks by another 8.7%, and inflation is at a negative 9.3%. The bank crisis goes global. There are major bank failures in Germany, Austria, Romania, Hungary. Germany suspends the war reparation payments from World War I. These collapses cause France, the Netherlands, the Swiss, and Belgium to cash in their gold US dollar certificates for gold. This causes the Fed of the United States to raise interest rates, which causes the depression to deepen. Oh, And in Chicago, all the major banks had invested heavily in real estate lending. Imagine that. I'm glad that never happens again, like in 2008. Out of the 193 Chicago banks in 1929, only 35 survived this time period. Then there's 1932. Yep, things just get way worse. Unemployment goes to 23%. Another 1,700 banks fail. The government finally starts to take action to ease the depression and creates the Reconstruction Finance Corporation to lend money to the state governments, banks, and major businesses. This is basically a bailout fund that lasts until 1957. In the election for president in 1932, President Hoover was challenged by Democrat Franklin Delano Roosevelt. My fifth cousin, by the way. Franklin Delano Roosevelt wins by a landslide, as well as the Democrats taking full control of the House of Representatives and the Senate. That, my friend, is a mandate by the people. Nothing less will do. His platform is the New Deal for the American people. Finally, in 1933, the year that the Nazis come to power in Germany, the year that the Stalin-imposed famine in the Ukraine fizzles out, the year Italy dreams of a new Roman Empire, unemployment in the United States peaks at 25%. That's 1/4 of the workforce out of work. And there are 2 million homeless. Just to give you perspective, that was 1.6% of the population. Today's homeless, which seem to be everywhere if you live in the metropolitan area, are 0.16%. So there were 10 times as many homeless percentages-wise in 1933. Why is this relevant? The people of the United States are very unlikely to care about what's going on in Europe, China, or anywhere else when things are so bad at home. The United States turns inward. This is called isolationism. There is little care about what is happening in the rest of the world. We have huge problems to take care of right here at home. Also, in 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt takes office. In his inauguration speech, among many important things, he says,
"Will revive and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance."
That's right. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. This holds true at any time of crisis. There was a gas shortage in Austin, Texas, right after Hurricane Harvey, due to a random Facebook post about a gas station being out of gas in Dallas. All untrue, but fear took over anyway. Then the New Deal in America starts, with President Roosevelt declaring a week-long bank holiday to hold off bank failures. The Civilian Conservation Corps and the Civilian Works Administration are created to provide public works jobs for the unemployed. The Securities and Exchange Commission is created to regulate the stock market. Most of the rules are written by a guy that knew a thing or two about profiting from the crash. First, SEC Chairman Joseph Kennedy. In Great Britain, the Great Depression is somewhat different. They had never really experienced the boom after World War I. The war devastated the British economy. The Depression made things worse. Certain areas of the country were totally devastated economically, like Scotland and northern England, where mining, heavy industry, and shipbuilding was prevalent. Demand for new ships dropped by 90%. Other areas fared much better, like the counties surrounding London due to a real estate building boom. and low interest rates. By 1931, the country had to overhaul its unemployment benefit system, which the U.S. did not have because the old one was no longer funded. It was also in 1931 that the pound sterling was taken off the gold standard. And according to dictionary.com, the gold standard is a system by which the value of a currency is defined in terms of gold, for which the currency could be exchanged. This coming off of the gold standard helped lower interest rates and made borrowing money much less expensive in Great Britain. Neville Chamberlain is voted in as Chancellor of Exchequer of Parliament in 1931. This is a British cabinet level position where he is head of Her Majesty's Treasury. He initiates trade tariffs on all products except those being imported from the Empire. This, of course, slows trade, just like the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in the United States. He becomes Prime Minister of Great Britain later on, as you will see. The economy bottoms out in 1932, but is helped by the ending of the gold standard for the British currency. This began to make British products less expensive and more competitive on the global market. Things start a long and painful recovery from there. This economic disaster for these nations played a large role in the continuation of the 95 Years' War. In my next video, I will finish up this same time period with France and Spain. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and most importantly, share this with a friend. You can do this by telling them to go to www.historyonyoutube.com. Oh, and don't hesitate to leave a comment below.